Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Neptune's Child Tarot. Thank you all so much for being here. So today is the first pick a card that I'm going to be doing from here in Sedona. I was actually working on private readings last night, but I still have a ton of unpacking, especially setting up this tarot room to get it functional, more functional than it is right now. It's a mess in here. There's decks everywhere, laying all over the place in piles and crystals everywhere. It's a mess. But we're just going to do something not too complicated today, just eat nice and easy so I can get back into the flow. Things will be a lot smoother once I get everything organized and I know where everything is. And yeah, so we're just going to do messages from spirit today. Okay, whatever messages you're meant to hear right now at this time, whatever spirit is trying to bring to your attention, maybe, or wanting you to know something. We are going to be using this beautiful deck here, which is the Oracle of Awakening, and this one was gifted by Kirsten. One quick thing though, with the Amazon wish list, I did have to remove those old lists. I will make new ones for those of you that are wanting to donate tarot or oracle decks to the channel. I will make new lists because the other lists were tied to my soon-to-be ex-husband's Amazon account. And so when I left a few weeks ago, I had to basically delete those lists, the old lists. But I will make new ones and I will put them. I need to remember to do that actually. To put the new links for the Amazon wish list moving forward on the new videos. So if you click a link, from an older video and it says Amazon wish list, it should tell you that list is no longer there. I will probably put an announcement in the community post for an update with the new links to do that. Okay. So messages from spirit, we do have 3 crystals out here for you guys to choose from. For group 1, we have Opalite. For group 2, we have Amethyst. And then for group 3, we do have Autumn Obsidian. So let's see what is coming through. For those of you that already feel drawn to a specific crystal, you can go ahead and skip down to the timestamp. It'll take you directly to your reading. I do apologize too if there's any weird glares. I'm still trying to get lighting and stuff like that figured out. I'm still missing some of my crystals I haven't found yet in all of my stuff, so I have a lot of setting up to do still. So let's see. So for group 1 with the Opalite, what message does Spirit have for you at this time? What message does Spirit have for you for those of you that are drawn to the Opalite? We have rebirth, metamorphosis, and new beginnings. Group 2 with the Amethyst. We have vulnerability, and it says, what are you really feeling? And group 3 with the Autumn Obsidian. We have limitless access to infinite potential. Okay, so let's get a closer look at the crystals for those of you that need it. This is the Opalite. For group 2, we have Amethyst. And group 3, we have the Autumn Obsidian. Okay, so those are the choices for today. Pause the video if you need a little bit more time with the crystals, the artwork on the cards, keywords, whatever is drawing you in the most. If you do feel drawn to more than one of the groups, go with whatever your intuition is telling you. Timestamps will be down below, and I will see you all at your reading. Hi, group 1. So those of you that resonated with the rebirth card, I wanted to read a little bit about this one here because I feel like this one has some interesting information. This is a winged scarab beetle, which are symbols of death and rebirth. So before we get into pulling the cards here, we're going to look at this a little bit. Again, this is the Oracle of Awakening. Okay, so it says there is something being born in you. Create space for its arrival. When a rebirth is imminent, it is generally tied to a death of some sort. It may happen as a result of a relationship ending, or the end of a job, or even the death of a loved one. Or maybe it's not as obvious as these examples. There are small shifts in who we are becoming that are less noticeable. But these small changes accumulate over time and will eventually result in larger, more noticeable transformation. There are many opportunities for rebirth throughout our lifetimes. In Egyptian mythology, the winged scarab beetle represented rebirth and renewal. The mythology spoke of the sun being pushed across the sky every day by a giant scarab, the god Khepri. If this card has come up for you, it may be a signal that you are at the end of a cycle, or that there is some sort of closure or death process happening in one or more aspects of your life. Often when we are feeling crunchy, stressed out of alignment, or out of alignment, or overly emotional, there is something asking for your attention so that it can be released. The eventual result of this release is the rebirth, the you without the energy that was not serving you. You are or will soon be in a new beginning, a fresh start of some kind. Rejoice at the prospect of rebirth. You are entering the unknown. You are going to grow in new ways. Celebrate your journey, acknowledge what you've been through and how far you've come. I can definitely resonate with this right now. The affirmation says, I am ever evolving. I am growing smarter, wiser, and more enlightened every moment. Okay, I like that. All right, so let's pull the tarot for you. Group number 1. What's really sad is that not only going through the divorce process, but I had just found the best nail tech where I just came from, in Nevada, in Reno. I just found it. Just found that person, and now I have to start all over again to try to go to salon to try to find a new tech. And so I haven't had them done since I left Reno. Okay. So group number 1. Messages from Spirit. Wait, I love it. The Fool. We also have the Four of Swords. Look at that. The World. So we've got an ending, a completion of some kind of cycle here. The Fool energy is the new beginning. We have the Six of Swords. Now, you know, of course, during this time, no matter what that ending looks like for you, you know, it could be a change. Like I said, it might be subtle for some of you. Some of you, it might be a big change that you're going through. The Six of Swords is moving towards calmer waters, meaning that this could be a more peaceful chapter of your life. It can also talk about healing, but it's also about transition, right? So it's kind of like even that feeling of the in-between, right? Where we're completing one cycle, one chapter, let's just say, and we're embarking on a new journey, and we might feel a little scared, you know, about what's to come and what's going to happen next and where this new path is leading us. And so let's see, Six of Swords. What else? Messages from Spirit for group 1. We've got the Four of Wands, the Eight of Pentacles, Ace of Cups, Three of Pentacles. Oops. Three of Pentacles, and then the Ten of Cups. Seven of Cups, Page of Pentacles, the Nine of Swords, Oops, and then we also have the Hermit. Okay. Yeah, with this transformation that's taking place here, you know, Spirit's message here for some of you as you're going through this process, if you look at this Hermit card here, the Hermit is inside of a little hole in the ground, right, in the dark, and there's a little light that's there. So in a way, this might be a time as you're moving through, you know, the ending, the new beginning here, a time for reflection, a time for introspection, a time of, like this card was saying, thinking about how far you've come, how, you know. And so this could be a time for taking in all of the lessons that we've learned from the past. It can also be helping us to find and connect to our inner light, or even light the way forward for us. Now, those of you that have already been kind of like in this Hermit energy already, some of you, I feel like there's a need to hermit a little bit, where you're taking time for yourself, you're taking time to heal, you're taking time to ask yourself deeper questions about what you want your path to look like moving forward, what you want to experience in your life at this point, because the Fool is about opening ourselves up to unlimited possibilities, potential, you know, letting go of fears. It's very much an energy of freedom, you know, of being able to write the new story and to do things in a very different way. We have this opportunity for a new beginning here, and Page of Pentacles is about planting the seed for something new, something that has potential. And this might be a time not only for you to work on yourself, but it may be a time where you think about, you know, wanting to study something, wanting to take some kind of a class or a workshop or collaborate with others in some way. It might be a time where you have certain dreams or certain visions that you want to accomplish. Some of you, like I said earlier, might be a little bit, you know, fearful about what this next chapter is going to bring, and that might bring about a lot of anxiety, a lot of, you know, feeling super stressed out. worrying about things. And with the Four of Swords here, this is an energy of peace and calm, also reflection, healing. Some of you might have an opportunity here to connect with new friends. It may even be that some of you are on a path of entrepreneurship. You could be starting a business idea, business project. Some of you, it could be something you're doing independently, going solo. Some of you, I'm seeing taking more of a spiritual path, okay? Because the Hermit can also be a guide for others. So for those of you that are ready to kind of step into that role of a guide or being a guide, and this kind of gives me like light worker, more light worker type of energy, or you're wanting to kind of connect with others, work with others. Some of you, this could be, engaging in community more. Maybe it's spiritual community for some of you. For others of you, I'm seeing that there could be new romantic interest that's coming in here. Okay. I feel like I want to look at this full here. We do have Aquarius, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, Sagittarius. Why is the Fool here? Temperance. The Knight of Wands. And then I'm seeing the Knight of Swords in reverse. Okay. For those of you that are going through this right now, okay, the change, the transition in your life, things might not be clear for you just yet, okay? And I feel like that's part of this message here, the Knight of Swords in reverse. Some of you are dealing with some challenging emotions, especially where this death cycle that you're going through could involve the loss of perhaps the loss of someone, okay? Whether it's someone that has passed away or whether it is a person who's no longer in your life. Perhaps it's a friend, a romantic partner. The Five of Cups can put us in a little bit of a depressive state. It might make us, if you look at it the way, I love the way that this is depicted here. Look at how the water is all the way up to basically her neck, right? So in a way, I kind of look at this as like we're drowning in our emotions and our feelings. And so some of you might have some really difficult emotions that you're kind of working through right now and might be feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And because of that, we might not know exactly, right, what the next step is. And so I feel like Spirit's saying, be patient with yourself. Give yourself grace right now. Because with temperance is about transmuting energy. And I feel like that's what this card is also talking about, right? It's about the release of these energies that are not serving us. And so as we're kind of moving through this time, the temperance card is about the process of alchemizing energy, okay? Some of you are amazing alchemists with the way in which you transmute the energies that you're working through. And so there's a need for you to be patient as your energy is coming into balance. Take this time for yourself, especially with temperance being here. This could be a time for you to also look at your life, the different aspects of your life. Does everything feel aligned for you? Okay, I'd encourage you to look at that. Your friendships, family situations, your living situation, everything that you put your time and your energy towards, does it serve you? Does it hold value? Or is it more so something that is a cause for great stress, discouragement, pain, And of course, we can't always avoid difficulty or challenge in our life. It's part of, life. But we can certainly choose what to give our time and our energy to. And so temperance, I look at this as like mind, body, and spirit, where we find that very spiritual connection in with the self. And, you know, perhaps some of you, this could be shifting your focus towards your passions, towards your dreams, towards your goals. Like I said, some of you might be dealing with a lack of clarity surrounding, you know, the direction maybe right now or what's coming next. And so for some of you, this is where Spirit is kind of encouraging you to take some time for yourself. Take a little bit of a break, a timeout, a vacation. It could even be taking a step back from the noise, you know, having time for yourself. The Nine of Swords, if you look at her here, she's, you know, looks like she's closing her eyes and she's covering her ears. But the Nine of Swords is when we've got a lot of mental anguish. We're worrying about something. We're stressing. There's a lot of intrusive thoughts, right? And so this is also an indication of us being ungrounded, okay? So here the Hermit is like in the ground. Now you don't need to, you know, go to that extreme to, you know, go underground inside of a hole, but more or less just kind of having some time for yourself, okay? Just some quiet time where you can de-stress, you can work through what it is that you're working through right now. And even if things don't feel quite there just yet, you know, we have the Four of Wands. So the Four of Wands is about stability. It can also be about a celebration, you know, maybe even achieving some form of a milestone, you know, in this period of transition. The Six of Swords is often called the rites of passage, you know. So some of you may have, you know, moved past, maybe for some of you, a very difficult cycle that has kind of come to an end here. And, you know, now we're kind of moving into a space that is going to be a lot more balanced, a lot more harmonious. Like I said, some of you might be meeting and connecting with someone here, you know, even new friends that can be a support system for you might be something coming in here. I do want to look at this Six of Swords. We also have a Gemini, Libra, Aquarius. Clarify Six of Swords. Two of Swords in reverse. Yeah. I almost feel like Spirit's saying you're not seeing it right now. You know, there might be a lot of, for some of you, pain, heartbreak, disappointment, confusion, you know, especially for those of you where there may have been, like I said, someone that you may, that where your life has just completely changed. Still just kind of, you know, coming to a place maybe even of acceptance. It just feels like for the energy that I'm tapping into, things are still a little fuzzy, you know, still a little fuzzy here, trying to navigate our way through it. Because sometimes with the Hermit energy, it could be when we feel lost, you know, where something comes to an end, we're like, okay, now what? Now what, universe? What are we doing now? What's next? Why is the Hermit here? Justice, Seven of Pentacles. And we have the Page of Cups in reverse. Some of you could be dealing with some creative blocks right now, or even intuitive blocks. You might, like I said, you might feel a little challenged with the inability to focus right now. You might not have the clarity that you want. And this is where Spirit is saying, be patient. Things are coming into alignment. You will be patient through this process. Try not to feel like you have to have everything done or everything figured out right now. Be patient. Okay? And I know sometimes, especially for those of you that are fellow Sagittarius, patience is not our strong suit. Yeah, not our strong suit. I am not a patient person either. Okay, so let's pull some additional, actually some oracle. Let's see what else for you, group one. Anything else for group one? You may be feeling swamped, but the shore is within sight. Just keep swimming along. Okay. We have into the woods. Things may seem scary at the moment, but your path is clear and your angels are near. Okay. So again, it's like Spirit's kind of coming in to give you that reassurance as you're going through whatever change this might be. And even though things might not be clear, you might not be able to see it yet, but it's going to come into focus for you. Things are going to come into balance. We have share knowledge. You give and receive teachings, wisdom. Look at that. Mentoring. I love that. The Hermit is also a very wise energy. Like I said, some of you might be feeling called to a path of helping others, guiding others, leading others. We also have reflecting here. It's time to remember the past and bring that wisdom forward to assist you now. Yeah. I will definitely be, not yet, but I will definitely be letting you guys know what happened. And I just need to think of a way of very tastefully and respectfully speaking my piece and saying what I need to say, but in a way that is not going to just being respectful, you know, because yeah, I just need to take my time, and gather my thoughts before I share it. I just haven't decided how I'm going to do that yet. If it's going to be in a video, probably. I feel like that would be the most impactful and the most sincere way of doing so. So that you guys can see me, you know, when I'm sharing things that way. But yes, going back to the reflecting here for you, it's time to remember the past and bring that wisdom forward to assist you now. So, like I said, the Hermit, sometimes it's taking a little pause on our journey to say, okay, where have we come from? Where are we going moving forward? Because sometimes, you know, we're just kind of like on autopilot in life. And, you know, it's important for us to kind of take that pause to say, okay, where am I right now? How did I get here? Do I like this? Where do I want to go? What do I want to change? What do I want to look differently in my life? How do I want to feel? What energy do I want to embody? Who do I want to become? Right? These are all important questions for us to ask ourselves, but we also learn from the past, whether they're mistakes that we've made, things that we've overlooked. Sometimes it's setting our own needs or desires aside for other people, putting others before ourselves. And sometimes that's the lesson. Put you first. Do you. You know? So there's a lot that we can kind of gather from our past as we move through this transitional period and be fully prepared as we embark on that new beginning, that new journey, and open ourselves up to knowing exactly what we want, exactly where we're going, and living with more purpose and more intention in what we do and what we choose to give our energy to. You know, does it feel aligned? which I feel like is an important question that we don't ask ourselves enough. Okay. All right. So that is all that I have for you. Group number 1. The first group from a pick a card that I'm doing here in beautiful Sedona. I can see right out my window. I can see the red rocks. It's so gorgeous. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you all so much for your continued love and support. It's amazing. It's amazing to be here. New start. And certainly for you too, for those of you that are, resonating with this energy. If you did feel called to a different pile, I will see you there. But other than that, have a beautiful rest of your day, and I will see you guys in the next reading. Hi, group 2. So those of you that resonated with the vulnerability card and the amethyst, this is going to be your reading today. It says, what are you really feeling? So I think I want to actually look. We have the Oracle of Awakening here with vulnerability. Let's see if these are even. Okay, so it says, we come to this planet to feel deeply, but it takes courage to do so. Vulnerability is a superpower. It's radical trust mixed with truth and an open heart. We associate vulnerability with the energies we want to avoid, such as fear, shame, and uncertainty, and we are afraid we will be seen as weak when showing our vulnerable selves. But vulnerability is also how we access joy, belonging, creativity, authenticity, and love. Not only are we afraid of being vulnerable with others, we may not even be able to be vulnerable, radically truthful with ourselves. This card is not asking you to go out and announce that you are wounded. There is absolutely a time and place for vulnerability. Vulnerability fosters good emotional and mental health. Vulnerability also is a sign of courage. We become more resilient and brave when we embrace who we truly are and what we are feeling. Vulnerability allows us to show our true feelings in our safe friendships and safe love relationships, which are important to create lasting bonds with others. This card is asking you to consider being honest with yourself or others about how you are really feeling. It may be a time for you to acknowledge something that you haven't let yourself fully explore. Can you share what is on your mind and heart, first with yourself and possibly with others as well? And if you are in relationships where you can't be authentic, are they truly serving you? So the affirmations say, today I show myself as I really am. My vulnerability empowers me and brings me more joy and love into my life. When I let down my defenses, I invite others to do the same, and we both feel more valued and secure. Okay? Sometimes, where we try to be vulnerable with others, sometimes it doesn't always happen as smoothly, right? I'm sure you've all can think of a situation on your mind where you have opened up and been vulnerable with a person who may not feel that same courage to be vulnerable back with you, But I feel like it certainly shows a lot of growth for yourself where you can be your most authentic self to be vulnerable. So we're going to see where Spirit is taking your message here. We're going to pull some tarot. What are you really feeling, group 2? And I feel like this is also for those of you that are, kind of like, I don't know. I don't know what I'm feeling. Maybe take some time to think about what you've got going on in your life and looking at different things and how each of those things might make you feel. Sometimes it could be issues that we've got at work, and that might be causing us a lot of stress, or we might be worried about money, or dealing with a relationship situation, a friendship situation that's just kind of lingering in the back of our mind. Sometimes we don't take time to just sit with ourselves, because sometimes just the sitting in silence, I feel like for many people is uncomfortable. Because we're so busy all the time. We've lots of things going on in our life, and sometimes we don't check in with ourselves. And I feel like we definitely need to do that a little bit more, to see how we're feeling. What kind of thoughts are in our mind? Where's our headspace? Where's our emotional space at? So let's see. Group 2. What is your message here about vulnerability? Wow, look at that. 2 cups. Some of you, this might be about a relationship. Some of you, it could even be a friendship. We've got the 6 of Wands, and we have the 6 of Pentacles in reverse. Queen of Swords. Four of Wands. Nine of Cups. 6 of Cups. Knight of Swords. Ten of Wands. Page of Wands in reverse. Ten of Cups. The Moon. Okay, so the situation that's kind of coming through here, I feel like this can kind of go either way, okay? Some of you, I'm picking up that this is a connection that you have with another person, and you feel feelings towards this person, and it may even be that you're able to kind of pick up or have an inner knowing that this person feels the same towards you. However, you might be feeling a little bit of resistance from this person. It feels like there's a little bit, for those of you where you feel the connection to them, but there's something that they're not reciprocating back to you, because the 6 of Pentacles is in reverse, which means there's an imbalance here. And our Page of Wands is in reverse, which the Page of Wands in reverse could be that we are dealing with someone that could make you feel very frustrated or even irritated. Because, like, you know there's a connection there. And I feel like in a way you're wanting this person to come towards you and to be honest with you about what they're thinking, about what they're feeling, to speak truth to you. Some of you are wanting to pursue connection, relationship, partnership, union with them. This is something that you really desire here. But there's a lot of uncertainty here. A lot of, like, maybe even because this person isn't being very clear or direct with you, that it's leaving a lot of, like, gray area. It's leaving a lot of things being fuzzy, unclear, making you doubt yourself. Like, do they even like me? Are they even attracted to me? So some of you might be looking for some kind of validation with that 6 of Wands there. Wanting them to acknowledge you, wanting them to tell you how they feel. So there might be a little bit of frustration here, feeling irritated Okay. Or it could be that when you do ask this person, like, how do you feel about me? Where is this connection going? They're the ones that might get a little defensive or might be a little bit temperamental with you. Okay. It feels like there is a little bit of immaturity here. Okay. And I'm not sure if that's on your side or the other person. But the Page of Wands, I like to think of the Page of Wands in reverse as like having a tantrum, like a childlike tantrum, because it's kind of like we're not getting our way. So we feel irritated, you know? Some of you might feel that the other person is not really stepping up to tell you or to acknowledge. It feels like there's something unspoken here, and all you want is the truth. All you want to hear is the person telling you, yes, I feel it too, or yes, I like you, or yes, I feel a special connection with you. And I feel like because you're not getting it, and because there's a lot of uncertainty here, because things are not clear, the moon is here, that means there's confusion. Maybe it's the person's pattern or behaviors that confuse you. So I feel like you're feeling a mix of things here. If you're trying to be like, what is going on with me? Why do I feel this way? Because not only is there there is a connection here between you and this person. I feel like that's obvious. But some of you might be picking up like this person is holding back from speaking it, from saying it, from acknowledging it. Like, yes, I feel it too. Do you feel that? I feel that. There's a lot of intensity here between you and this person. Why is there Six of Pentacles in reverse, though? We've got Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, Pisces, Sagittarius, Aries, and Leo. Feels frustrating. Six of Pentacles in reverse. Some of you, this person is hard to read. Some of you might also be keeping like boundaries, okay? Some of you this could be a friend, somebody that you work with, collaborate with in some way. So it might even be a thing where you're afraid of crossing that line. Or they're afraid of crossing some kind of boundary here. Nine of Pentacles. Some of you, the person that this is, they might be someone who's involved. I don't know that it's all of you, but some of you, there could be like the person that you like or the person that you're interested in, either you being involved. So let's just say you're involved already. You're already in a relationship and they're the one who's single, right? They might be not wanting to say something because they know you're in a relationship, or vice versa. You could be not wanting to say something because they're in a relationship with someone else. Or this could be a situation here where you guys work together, collaborate with each other in some way. So again, there's a lot of this unspoken energy here, making it hard to read because the person's energy might be confusing. And you're trying to do the right thing. They're trying to do the right thing in a way. Because justice also has to do with integrity, honesty, making the right choices. So if we're dealing with a person, so let's just say the person's not single, maybe they're married, maybe they're in a committed relationship, or maybe it's a boss and we don't want to cross that line. There could be a lot of that intensity that you feel, the romantic feelings and connection, but then not saying it, not speaking it, not saying, hey, I like you, or I'm attracted to you. So it feels like there's most certainly frustration that's here, especially with that Page of Wands in reverse. Some of you, you could be feeling very irritable right now. Okay? Very irritated. What else do I want to say here? Some of you might also be like the one who's very guarded. And you're feeling feelings, but you're afraid of letting your guard down to let the other person in, or vice versa. Wise Page of Wands. In reverse. Yeah. There's feelings. Some of you are falling in love. And some of you could be trying to prevent yourself from developing any further feelings. You could be resisting letting yourself really fall for this person. Frustration is definitely here, okay? You could also be picking up on them holding back from letting themselves be vulnerable with you and talk to you about how they feel, announcing and bringing forth this energy that's happening between the two of you. But it, like I said, it kind of feels unspoken. It could even be that you're dealing with it where both you and the other person are feeling something towards each other and neither one of you are saying a thing. Okay, that's something else right there. Some of you, this person might even be like very hot and cold. Like sometimes they could be like, oh, they're just coming towards me and I can feel the intensity in this person's energy. And then other times you might feel like they're just, you know, ignoring you, or not acting, say, the same that they did a few days ago, or just something like that where you're noticing like their energy kind of is confusing for you, kind of going back and forth, or you could even be kind of going back and forth here. It could even be dealing with a person who's inconsistent, where sometimes they're open and they're vulnerable and other times they're just all clammed up. Okay? So again, we're confused. We're irritated. What is happening here? Mixed signals, right? We could be dealing with mixed signals. Some of you might be dealing with a person who's married, with children, or is in a long-term relationship. Or even, you know, someone that you've been in a relationship with previously, it's like, especially if that's like an ex-partner, or there's a desire here for reconciliation, to tell someone like, hey, I still have feelings for you. I still care about you. I still want to see you. Okay, so let's see. You know, some of you, this might be a need for you to speak up and say something. Okay, especially if you've been feeling the desire to speak up and say something. What else for group number 2? We have messenger here. It says the news and answers you are waiting for are on the way. We also have masked intent. Someone has ulterior motives that they are concealing. I want to know what that is. We have Island of Dreams. Drift into imagination where your dreams mirror your true aspirations. We have in the cards, divination gives you direction, but you have to take the steps. You know, maybe this message for some of you that do pull your own cards and you're trying to see, like, what should I do? How should I handle this situation? Okay? Or those of you that know how to read, maybe you should do a reading for yourself, or I can do it for you. Just email me and I'll do it for you. Especially while we still have readings on sale right now. It's 30% off. Okay. Sudden strike. You get some shocking news, but not to worry. The universe is taking care of you always. I want to look at this. What is this shocking news? What is this shocking news? 5 of Wands. Ooh, what is this? 5 of Swords. And the King of Pentacles. Well, there's some type of conflict here. What is this masked intent? 6 of Swords. I feel like this person is someone who does have feelings for you, group 2. But I'm picking up an energy here where somebody's dealing with someone who's married or who's in a committed relationship. So maybe you find out the news. You know, maybe the news is, yes, they're married, or they're in a commitment. Or, you know, it could be that if it's like your boss or something like that, somebody you work with, that is, you know, maybe where you find out they don't want to, you know, get involved with someone they work with. What is this messenger here about? The news and answers you are waiting for are on the way. King of Wands. Seven of Swords. I almost feel like there's going to be something that is revealed to you here, group 2, about this person or about this situation here. It feels like this person wants to tell you the truth, wants to give you more insight or information here. Let me ask really quick. Should group 2 tell this person how they feel? Maybe some of you already have, but should group 2 tell this person how they feel? Should group 2 tell this person how they feel? 5 of Pentacles in reverse. Page of Swords. Okay. What I feel like Spirit is wanting you to do is maybe not outright announcing it right away. Because with the Page of Swords energy here, Page of Swords is about gathering information, doing some research. So this could be asking questions, but in a place that is very secure. You're very securely within yourself. Maybe asking some questions, because the Page of Swords energy is very curious, right? Asking questions, wanting to know things, doing a little bit of investigating, you know? In a way, it kind of helps you to say, okay, because this is also a very observant energy. So we can ask some questions and say, okay, how is this person responding to this question? Right? So this might be thinking of some clever ways in which we can kind of read between the lines, or, you know, maybe ask the person certain questions that could be helpful here. Okay. All right. So I'm going to leave this here for you, group number 2. I do hope this reading was helpful for you guys. I'm so grateful to all of you, okay, for all of your support. I'm so happy to be doing readings from Sedona. I can actually see right out my window. I can see the red rocks. It's absolutely beautiful being here. And I'm super grateful to each and every one of you for all the support that you've given to me during this transition of mine. I hope that this reading was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Hi, Group 3. So those of you that resonated with the Limitless card and the Autumn Obsidian, this is going to be your reading today. And so your card is Limitless. It says access to infinite potential. Okay? So I do want to get a little bit of a message here from the Oracle of Awakening to get a little bit more information. And if I remember right, there might be some of the messages in here that I can't really say on YouTube. So it says, there is no beginning to me, nor an ending. I am existence itself. You are a reservoir of pure, undiluted potential. It is your true essence. It is where you were formed, and it is what you are made from. The entire universe exists within every cell of your body, though you may not be in constant realization of this understanding. It is an ever-present truth. 99% of our thoughts, actions, and reactions are programmed into us by our past and the expectations of society and those around us. Let this card serve as a reminder of your expanded self. Ask yourself, how can I look at things from a new angle, a completely different point of view, and see the big picture? How can I experience my ever-unfolding and expansive self? Dream bigger, love harder, have adventures, create exquisite things. What inspires you? Are you embracing your joy and following your bliss, or being led by your fear? We project our present and future from our experience of the past. What if you tap into your limitless self and let that be the guide into the unknown? The affirmation says, I am the center of all thought, power, and influence. Okay? So this could certainly be a message today for you, or Spirit is reminding you of your limitless self. So this could be a time for you to think about what self-limiting beliefs or fears are holding you back with living the life of your dreams, of pursuing certain passions that you have, and being able to experience certain things in your life that you dream about. And to tap into this part of yourself that not only dreams big, but also finds the strength within the self and the courage to be able to bring these things to life, okay, for you to experience them. So let's see what your message, what's coming through here. Group number 3. What is your message today about limitless? Look at that, the Strength card. This would be overcoming your fears here. We've got the Wheel of Fortune. The Star. I love this. The Five of Wands. Queen of Pentacles. Four of Swords in reverse. The High Priestess. Okay. We've got the Devil in reverse, the Emperor, the Ace of Wands, King of Pentacles. I like that. We have both the Queen and the King here. Knight of Pentacles. Yeah. All right. So Knight of Cups is at the bottom. I love that we have the Devil in reverse, because with this Devil in reverse, this is talking about freedom. Freedom from any energy. Now, this could be an aspect of yourself, or it may even be a person or situation that we're needing to free ourselves from. Maybe it's a work environment. Maybe it's a relationship that's no longer serving. It's going to be different for each of you. But this pile here, this group, is about you stepping into your power, reclaiming your power. That is what the Spirit is wanting you to recognize and to see within inside of yourself. Because with the Wheel of Fortune being present, you know, some of you may have been caught up in a cycle, being in that devil energy. The devil is an aspect of our shadow. It's our ego, right? That sometimes limits us because of fears. And it can, you know, sometimes if we've not had maybe say the greatest past experiences, we can live in fear. And that fear could be something that manipulates us and keeps us held back. And it can manipulate our thoughts, right? So we begin to feel that something has a power over us, that we're basically blocked from being able to achieve whatever it is that we have our mind on. So I feel like this is an opportunity. And I also feel like with the High Priestess being here, the High Priestess is your higher self. It's your intuition. And so I feel like your intuition is trying to get your attention to help you to connect to this aspect of yourself, that Strength card, which has the ability to overcome this energy of the devil, right? The Strength card also has to do with our ego, but this is more about self-control. It's mastery to overpower this energy that could be overpowering us, leaving us stuck in fear. And, you know, because the devil is about being dominated, you know, trapped, stuck. So, I mean, sometimes it could even be bad habits that we have, you know, unhealthy patterns or unhealthy behaviors that we function from that place of fear. So coming out with Strength as the first card here, I feel like that's quite powerful. You know, the Strength card has to do with Leo energy. Leo is about confidence. It's also about courage, bravery, strength, and being able to overcome the fears that you have, right? Because we can certainly succumb to fears because of past experiences to say, oh no, that's not possible for me, or I can't, right? I'm sure you've all heard people say, I can't do this, I can't do that, I can't. And that's more or less the ego. It's not your higher self, right? Your higher self knows that you are limitless. You are an infinite being. And with the star energy here, this is about having trust, having faith, having hope. Now, that's not to say that this is going to be easy, right? We can't just snap our fingers and be like, okay, I'm good now. It doesn't happen like that, right? We have to have self-awareness. We have to be mindful of when the ego kind of chimes in and says, when your higher self is leading you and says, okay, let's do this. And then immediately your ego is like, nope, you can't do that. That's not possible. You're going to fail. You can't have that. That's not going to happen for you. What are you doing? Are you crazy? No, right? Because in a way, remember, the ego, the unhealthy aspect of the ego, its primary function is survival. Keep you safe, right? If we've had some not so great experiences in our past, your ego is like, I'm not I'm not doing that. Remember what happened the last time? Look what happened, right? And that would be those limiting beliefs. Or it could even be, for some of you, another person in your life. Sometimes it's parents, sometimes it is. We're talking about societal expectations where you want to go one direction and then you're telling your friends or your family and they're like, I don't know. I don't think that you should do that. I think that you should do something else. So then insert self-doubt, right? Self-sabotaging thoughts. All the ways in which, we're doing things to please others or even dealing with inner conflict within ourselves. And so the Ace of Wands is about creative spark, potential, right? And I feel that this is the message here today. Spirit is wanting you to see that potential that you truly have within inside of yourself. You do have the Emperor energy here. The Emperor is the masculine energy. It is about getting things done. It's about building. It's about discipline, structure, stability, building something that's going to be long lasting, a solid foundation for ourselves. It basically brings form and function to the Empress energy, right? The Empress creates. It's the feminine. And you do have this balance here of both the Queen and the King of Pentacles. The Pentacles have to do with the material realm, the earthly realm, right? And both of these are about security, about stability, about nurturing, about investing. And I feel like this is a need for you to invest into yourself. Okay, that might mean that we do have to make some changes, and sometimes the changes that we make are uncomfortable. But in a way, I feel like Spirit's saying here that, especially for those of you, even let's just say that you're at a job, right? And you want to take your career to the next level. But then you say, oh, I'm not educated enough. I don't have what it takes. I don't have this. I don't have that. And in a way, that's us going right back into the devil, right? The ego, the unhealthy aspect of the ego saying, you can't do this. That's not possible. You can't have that, right? The star is about our destiny. It's also about our dreams, about the things that we want to achieve and attain. And there's a need for believing in yourself. There's a need for having hope, right? With something that we're wishing to accomplish here. The Five of Wands can also be about challenge, right? And even though something that we really want could be a challenge to get it, that doesn't mean that because it's challenging that we shouldn't go after it. Sure, it might be difficult. Sure, it might mean that we have to make some sacrifices or, make some drastic change within our life. But I feel like in a way, Spirit is wanting you to really recognize and realize that following your heart's desire, believing in yourself, and kind of getting things in order, coming up with a strategy, coming up with a plan, and working, investing, committing yourself to whatever it might be. Sometimes it means taking a risk, right? The King of Pentacles is here. The King of Pentacles is a very resourceful energy. It's about making wise investments. And what better investment than investing into yourself, right? The Knight of Pentacles is here, which is about long term, thinking about the future. Where do we see ourselves? What do we want? This is where we take steps every single day to get closer to what that long-term goal is. Maybe for some of you, it's wealth. It's financial security. Maybe for some of you, it's finding a partner, long-term partner, right? So let's just say that part of those limiting beliefs say that we're not worthy of abundance. We're not worthy of a stable, secure relationship, right? That might mean we have to do a little bit of healing. That might mean that we have to face the fears that we might have that true love or wealth is not going to happen for us. I want to look at this devil energy. Now we've got Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius, Taurus, Sagittarius, earth sign energy here, Virgo and Capricorn as well, Aries energy, Pisces. Why is this devil in reverse? Yes. This Hierophant. The Queen of Swords. Five of Swords. Two of Swords. Okay. So this is where specifically this is talking about limiting beliefs. Okay. Limiting beliefs. Now, remember how this card was talking about conditioning, societal expectations? That is the Hierophant. Okay. The Hierophant in reverse is a good thing. I mean, the Hierophant upright can be too, but in more so, this is talking about those of you that have limiting beliefs that are affecting you in a negative way, that are limiting you from seeing the potential that you truly have within inside of yourself. Spirit is reminding you, group 3, reminding you of who you are, and for you to remember. Okay. 5 of Swords energy is self-sabotaging thoughts or self-sabotaging behaviors, right? We might have say, okay, I really want to do this thing. We might take that first step, right? And then we decide, no, I better not. This feels like it's going to be challenging, or it would mean that I would have to sacrifice XYZ in order to do it. Forget it. Never mind. Right? So there's a need for you here, I feel like, with the Queen of Swords. This is about discernment. Yes, Queen of Swords. But at the same time, the Queen of Swords is about thinking about things logically, right? We can understand that sometimes there are certain things that we think or that we say to ourselves or even to other people that we need to be mindful of. Okay? The ways in which we think or speak or act that can affect us in a negative way, that can cause indecision, that can cause confusion, that can cause stagnancy, repeating the same cycle, repeating the same pattern, okay? Which is what we want to be mindful of here. So, what is this Wheel of Fortune? Six of Wands, Eight of Cups, Eight of Pentacles. Some of you are needing to change jobs. Okay? Change jobs. There's change that's needed here. Some of you may be needing to let go or move away from a situation that does not serve you any longer. For some of you, it might be a habit that you have. Some of you, it could be procrastination. It could be lacking discipline, right? Because the Emperor is here. The Emperor is very disciplined energy. So is King and Queen of Pentacles, Knight of Pentacles. Sometimes we lack consistency, commitment, dedicated effort, hard work. Sometimes the amount of work that is necessary for something to make something happen is enough that seems too scary that we're just like, you know what? No, I can't do this. This is overwhelming. This seems like this is too much, right? And again, this is where the limiting beliefs come in. So this is with the Strength card, is you overcoming that fear, because change and true growth is uncomfortable. Growth doesn't happen in stillness in terms of us especially when we're leveling up, right? Trying to level up, trying to be better, trying to do better. It's not going to happen in stagnancy. We have to create the change. We have to be willing to put in the effort, to be committed, dedicated, disciplined, get things organized, come up with a plan and stick to it, right? Just like that Knight of Pentacles. That Knight of Pentacles, right, eventually gets us to the Queen and then the King, which started off as a page, right? The page is the very beginning, the seed that we plant, that we invest, that we nurture, and then we level up into the Knight energy, then the Queen, then the King, right? We can master this energy. In a way, this is where, for many of you, this could be mastering the material realm, right? Mastering wealth, abundance, security for yourself, your friendships, relationships, okay? By becoming a better version of ourselves. So this is going to require transformation and being open to transforming, being open to changing the way that we think. Sometimes, there's certain people, which I'm sure you've all met people like that in your life, where they're kind of at a certain age and they're set in their ways and there's no changing that person, right? They've conformed, they're conditioned, they have certain belief systems, whether that's cultural, religious, ones that have been passed down by tradition, by family, by friends, whatever it is during that person's upbringing and life experiences that have molded them into thinking a certain way, right? And it doesn't change. It keeps thinking the same train of thought over and over and over again. I feel like Spirit is wanting you to be open to not reverting back into the old ways. Like this card was talking about, what if we can look at something differently? Right? Look at it differently. Look at it in a different way. Why is this strange card here? Justice. King of Wands. Wow, look at how these cards are coming out. The King and the Queen of Pentacles, the King and the Queen of Wands. This is a lot of spiritual energy. This is the material realm and this is spiritual. So this is a very empowered energy, balanced. Justice is also when we're choosing between right and wrong, making the right choices for ourselves, doing what is best for our highest good. And if we're leading with confidence, with courage, with passion, with desire, without the fears or limiting beliefs, imagine what you can accomplish. Imagine what you can do, right? That is what Spirit is reminding you of today, is your power, your greatness. For you to be confident in yourself. The King of Wands is about forging a new path. It's also about leading the change that you wish to see in your life and knowing that you have the potential to make your dreams come true, to make it happen. And like I said, this might require work because we're basically retraining, reprogramming the brain to think new thoughts and have new feelings when it's so used to just the same old patterns, the same old cycles over and over and over again. Be open to new, which sometimes, yes, it's scary. Sometimes it's people that you might meet in your life that have been raised very differently, from the way that you've been raised. And you might tell a person your dilemma or your struggle, right? And you might say, oh, I can't do this because of this or that. And the person's like, what do you mean you can't? What do you mean you can't do that? Of course you can, right? Because their parents may have raised them differently, or they may have had some very different experiences in their life and have a different frame of mind. So, I also encourage you to surround yourself with people who are inspiring, inspiring people. Surround yourself with people who can guide you in a way, or if you're inspired by their life, by the way that they live, ask them questions, right? How did you get to where you are? You know, what was your thought process, or what drew you to this path? Or, you know, just kind of picking their brain and learning, being open to learning, I feel like is important here. Page of Wands at the bottom. That is a very exploratory energy. It's also about you tapping into the energy of your inner child. And your inner child is very close in connection to your higher self. Your inner child believes in the self, is confident. If you've ever asked a child, right, I'm sure at different ages, when you ask a child, what do you want to be when you grow up? Do you think that they're going to sit there and be like, well, I really want to become an astronaut, but I grew up with not having a whole lot of money. Mom says that we've got no money for XYZ, so therefore I don't think that college is an option for me. Tuition's going to be too expensive, so I have this dream, but I don't think that I'm going to be able to accomplish it, so I think I'm just going to do something else. No, right? Those are all the things that we get molded to believe because it's what's been passed down, conditioned. Right? Sometimes the values and the upbringing that we have can be very healthy and very beautiful and very supportive. But the energy that I'm tapping into today is for those of you where you've not had that. Right? The inner child, and like I was going back to when you ask a child like what they want to be, look at how their face lights up. And you see that they're kind of like, as they're telling you what they want to be, they're like looking up into the sky, and they're like their imagination and the creativity that just kind of comes through them. I kind of feel like our entire life, we're kind of going through this process of unlearning, unprogramming, unconditioning ourselves back to that authentic aspect of ourself that we need to get back to our true self. Right? Not the one that has been littered sometimes with mom and dad's belief system surrounding money, or grandparents, you know, who grew up during difficult times with hardship and things like that, where they kind of ingrain us to believe a certain thing or a certain way. That college is not possible, that education is not possible, that being wealthy is not possible, that having a loving, beautiful, healthy relationship is not possible, right? It affects us all in a very different way. So I feel like Spirit's reminding you, group 3, is for you to see the light within yourself that Spirit sees in you, for you to get back to being your authentic self, not the version of you that might be right now that was necessary, right, for survival of certain things that you may have gone through. But we can start to look at those parts of ourselves and start to shed away the things that we don't need anymore. Those aspects of ourselves that have served a purpose, yes, to get us to where we are today. But this can also be a process of reprogramming, reconditioning. For some of you, it's reparenting. Okay? Allowing yourself to explore, to discover yourself, to explore what your passions are in life, what lights you up, what makes you happy, what brings a smile to your face, what brings you joy. Sometimes we don't know what it is. We don't realize the potential that we have within ourselves because we've never taken the time to really get to know ourselves. And allowing ourselves to explore, to try new things, to travel to new places can certainly give us inspiration, can certainly lead us to new spaces, new places, new connections, and can open our whole world up in a very different way. Okay, so let's see, group 3. Look at that, opening doors with the golden key here. It says you will need to use your charm to get access to what you want. Sacred space. Carve out a little niche for your spiritual practice and make your home a retreat. I feel like this will also help many of you to get better connected in with your higher self, so that confirmation comes from within you, that guidance. We also have the pillar of strength. It says, fortify your resolve and stand strong in your truth. Do not let others undermine your faith. Okay? Because sometimes when we have dreams or goals or things that we want to accomplish, then we tell certain people, remember that sometimes they can be projecting their beliefs onto you too. Right? You might tell a friend like, ooh, I have this amazing business idea and I'm going to open this business. I'm going to, cater to these types of clients. And then you tell that friend who has limiting beliefs and insecurities, and they're just like, oh, why would you do that? Or I don't think that would work, or I don't think that's such a good idea. You should play it safe and get a regular job, So we have pure passion here. Do some soul searching to find your true purpose. I like that. You have a special mission to fulfill. We have real treasure. Hold your boundaries and guard your precious time. And then we also have healing elixir here. You will find the cure to the problem at hand with ease. Okay. Of course, this problem is going to be different for all of you, but I want to get a little bit of information here. What is this problem that group 3 is having? What's the problem? Nine of Cups. Queen of Wands. Five of Wands in reverse. Okay, so the problem here, there's the Hierophant again. The problem here is that what you desire, or whatever is wishful, some of you, it could be the challenge of finding out what is going to make you happy. And that could certainly be where we're looking for happiness outside of the self, where happiness comes from within. The Nine of Cups is also about contentment and satisfaction. And with the Five of Wands in reverse, this is overcoming the inner conflict, the challenge that we're dealing with. So let's just say that we're the Queen of Wands, right? And we have a desire, we have a goal in mind. And this is going to be something that makes us feel happy and makes us feel content. Like, wow, I feel so satisfied with pursuing this dream or this goal. But then the resistance comes from the inner conflict that we have with certain beliefs, limiting beliefs. Okay. Queen of Wands, maybe we need to work on self-esteem or confidence, right? Strength card. Seven of Cups and the Hermit. Some of you might also be feeling lost. Some of you need to spend time in introspection. And I know sometimes, because especially in today's day and age, we're so busy with life and keeping ourselves busy with our phones. If you ever just stop for a moment, even if you're the type of person who is always on your phone, just for a moment, go out into public place. Look at everyone. Observe them. What is everybody doing? They've got their head down and they're on their phone. No one's talking to each other anymore. It's so different, right? And so if we're used to staying busy with other things, right, we might be feeling very disconnected from the self, right? So we might be feeling lost. Sometimes we feel lost because we're disconnected from our higher self. Sometimes the silence is uncomfortable for us, And I saw this firsthand very clearly, was it last year? 2 years? I don't know if it was last year or the year before that. It might have been 2024 when I was in Texas still, and we had the hurricane that came in, Hurricane Beryl. It took out our power for, I think in my area, 9 days with no electricity. And of course, the cell towers need electricity to work. So our phones were down. There was no TV. There was no radio. There was nothing. And so I, grew up. I'm born in 77. So I know how to do other things, right? For those of you that grow up, in the 80s and the 90s, or even before that, before we had cell phones, before we had computers, what did we do? We were creative. We played board games. We wrote. We did creative projects. When you look at, and this is where I noticed it with my daughter. Okay, bless her heart. Bless her heart. But she was falling apart at the seams. She didn't know what to do with herself. She was so just like in a panic because she had no phone. Okay? And sitting with yourself, because we're always busy, sitting with the discomfort or sometimes the uncomfortable feelings that we've been ignoring or that we've been avoiding because we're so busy throughout our lives, when we have to sit with ourselves, it's uncomfortable because we've got nothing else to do but think about all these other things that we've been putting off for so long that have been trying to get our attention. And in that silence, they are making themselves present. So for some of you, this can be a lot of deep healing work. This could be a time for self-discovery, which is what the Hermit is about. Deep introspection, finding yourself, discovering yourself, finding and connecting to your inner light, group 3. I would encourage you to, because this one of these cards, wasn't it saying, sacred space, carve out a little niche for your spiritual practice and make your home a retreat. So maybe for some of you, it's coming up with a spiritual practice for yourself, okay, where you can start to rebuild the self. I'm seeing the 3 of Pentacles here, rebuilding the self. Sometimes it means from the ground up. We're starting fresh. We're starting over in a beautiful and powerful way. Okay? All right, so that is all that I have for you, group 3. I do want to thank you all so much for your love and your support. I am definitely loving being in here in Sedona. I'm looking forward to doing many more readings for you guys here, being in this beautiful space. As I was telling group 1 and group 2, I can see the red rocks directly out my window. I put my desk facing the window, and it's absolutely beautiful here. And I want to thank you all so much for your help and your support through this time of transition for myself, and sending you guys all nothing but love in return. I hope that this reading was helpful for you guys, and I will see you in the next one.